How's everyone doing today on Wisdom Wednesday? Sorry about that. It's just something that I have to figure out, learn how to share my screen with this new technology platform. And if you can hear me, give me a thumbs up. If not, I will keep on working on the technology. All right. So welcome to Wisdom Wednesday today. And I will be talking about sourdough. Why? Because we just published a paper and Bakerpedia goes seeking sponsorships for research that we feel there has an urgent need to be written about. So what we did was we reached out to Sourdough Mills and asked them if they wanted to sponsor our paper on sourdough technology, and they said yes. So we are currently offering free papers in our academy because these papers are already paid for you by sponsors like Sourdough Mills. Okay. Now, if you're wondering, well, I want my papers to be ad-free. I want original, unbiased, ad-free material from Bakerpedia. Well, guess what? You are going to get your wish later on this month because we will be publishing original, ad-free material that you can pay for. All right, in the academy itself. So watch out for that later this month. All right. For now, while we gather material for the Baking Academy to make it a paid membership forum, we have to still teach you and share information freely with you. And while we move into that transition, we still have awesome sponsors like Sourdough Mills to help us create these papers so that we can still make it free for you. Okay? So I assume, Ashuni, that everything is okay. So I'm going to go on presenting my paper, and please let me know if you see my shared screen as well. Okay, so I have shared the link below for you to go download this paper today for free. All right. If you are researching sourdough and if you are a baker at an industrial plant figuring, what if my system can handle sourdough, right? This is the first place to start. All right. Get into the nitty gritty of what is sourdough? How do you make sourdough? You know, honestly, there are no shortcuts. Okay, sourdough is a long process, and I'll be honest with you, one that is so full of hassle and so full of quality issues and so full of labor issues. Okay, and that's why it's not done frequently. Right? So sourdough is interesting. It's a up and coming demand. There is an up and coming demand in the market for it. But really, if you want to get into this, you really need to understand the bottom line. What provides a sourdough, what kind of capex you need to do sourdough, what kind of talented labor you need to do sourdough as well. Okay? So as we know, sourdough, it's not a new thing, and it's pretty much, let's see, it's pretty much been around in the artisanal community for the longest time. Okay. Of course, when you say sourdough, people are like, oh, well, San Francisco sourdough? Not really. Not every sourdough is going to taste like the San Francisco sourdough, which to my palate is really too acidic for my liking. There are so many sourdoughs out there. My personal favorite is the sourdough from Portland French Bakery, and it has a really light sour to it. They fermented. I've seen their processes before, and they fermented those in this large reefered how you call it, reefered rooms. Yeah, temperature and humidity control cool rooms. That's what they ferment their sourdoughs in. Okay. And this paper is going to share knowledge with you on how long to sour, how long to ferment to get the different acidic or lactic acid sours. Okay. Oops, a little too fast. Next page. Oh, okay. Next page. Next 2 pages, apparently. Okay, so what is sourdough? Sourdough is a natural levain, which is also a natural sponge that is usually fermented for a long period of time, sometimes between 8 to 20 hours, I say. It really depends on what kind of sour you're looking for. And during that time, all these amazing acids, aroma, enzymes are being worked into the dough, and the acids reduces the pH, the gluten strands unfold and hydrates more, and the aromas come from the acids and the gas being produced. You know, there's so much science going on during the fermentation of sourdough that many bakers who are really keen on producing this way really benefit from a longer fermentation. So yes, the longer it ferments, the better the flavor is. Okay. And if you are wondering, well, what is the minimal time that I could possibly ferment something for it to be considered sourdough? Well, you really have to test it yourself. Okay. You test it at 8 hours, you test it at 10 hours, you test the solidity of your dough, your sponge, and you make it more solids, you make it less solids, you make it firmer, you make your polish more watery. All those things really affect the sourness of your sourdough. If you think you can go down anywhere below 8 hours, which I have really not seen any good sourdoughs come out of anything less than 8 hours. But if you do find a method and you found a formula that makes that magic for you and provides that aroma and that distinctive taste to your product, you have found a winner. Okay, so can it be done? Yes. Should it be done? Up to you. Whatever provides towards your bottom line. But give it a lot more thought and a lot more consideration for a longer process. And that's because it gives you room for errors, and it gives you room to spend less money on your doughs. And I'll talk a little bit more about that later. So what this paper also outlines is that pH, temperature, and inhibitors also affects lactic acid bacteria, or LAB, and yeast, and how these affects it, and what are the optimal conditions for these two to grow. Okay, so what's the difference between sourdough, biga, and polish? Well, some bakers use them interchangeably, and some actually say that the biga is very stiff and the polish is very watery. Okay, so we did outline them into the different categories here on the paper, and we also provided you examples of polish preform at room temperature. Okay, so polish has yeast, biga has yeast, sourdough pre-ferment does not have yeast. Okay, so let's make that clear. If you're going to put yeast in your sourdough, then it's going to hasten its final proof. Okay, so instead of proofing for 4 or 6 hours, you can prove that baby just in an hour using yeast. Who doesn't want that? But the traditional baker just frowns on using yeast in sourdough. Okay, so I'm just telling you what's going on out there. Don't shoot the messenger. Okay, the messenger is telling you try not to use yeast in sourdough because people are going to question you on that. All right, but if you need to use yeast, go ahead. You know, if that's going to help with controlling the consistency and your quality of 1,000-pound batches, go ahead and do it. All right, just be careful of the questions that will come back to you. All right, just a shout out to Solange's Mills. Solange's Mills flours are clean label certified. The Clean Label project uses data and science to reveal the true content of consumer products. Their specialty flours proudly received the Purity Award as confirmed by the analysis carried out by the Non-GMO project. Their products are also produced without genetic engineering and are not derived from GMOs. The Non-GMO project is an organization developing standards with the help of experts and accredited independent testing laboratories. Okay, if you want to learn more, that's a link on this paper to bring you to more information about Solange's Mills. Okay, so I want to introduce to you 3 types of sourdough. Okay, the number 1 type is sourdough that's manufactured with traditional methods and distinguished by continuous periodic refreshments to keep the microorganisms in active state. So yes, you see this happen in a lot of craft bakeries where the sourdough or the mother dough is fed every few hours. So you need trained labor for that. Okay. The second type of sourdough is frequently utilized as a dough souring supplement during bread preparation. It is identified by lengthy fermentation duration, which is 2 to 5 days, and a higher fermentation temperature to advance the process. And the third type of sourdough is a dry preparation containing lactic acid bacteria, or LAB, resistant to the drying process. Unlike type 1 sourdoughs, type 2 and type 3 sourdoughs require the addition of baker's yeast as leavening agents. Now, I have seen a type 3 sourdough that only requires the dried sourdough powder without any yeast. Okay, so there's such a thing out there. Reach out to me if you need to know more about that. Current bakery trends use sourdough as a natural leavening agent. And this can be done. So you just need to spend more time to study it. Okay, so over on, let's see. Over on the right side of the screen, we pretty much lay out a process on how you can make your own sourdough, and how can you use a levain to help you in your production process. Okay, so I would love any feedback on this. If you've tried this and you think it's great, give us a shout out. Okay, if you tried this and you don't think it's a great formula, give us a shout out. Still, I want to hear back. Okay? As in all the papers that we originally published, we put in questions that really comes in from our website. So the last 2 pages of this paper, we address sourdough quality questions that come across our website and our social media feeds. Okay? So before I end, I would like to say Solange's Mills has a product called heat treated flour. Okay, and you should look into this because heat treated flour is amazing. Amazing. I have seen it firsthand, how it works, and you should give it a try. Okay, so what's amazing about heat treated flour? Okay, especially in rye bread and rye products, and the presence of pentacenase. Okay, you actually deactivate natural enzymes in the flour so that your flour can actually absorb more water and function better. And this application is available as corn flour, oat flour, and barley flour, and rye flour from Solange's Mills. Okay, so if you are even going to make a cookie type product, like a edible cookie dough, you have to use heat treated flour. So reach out to Solange's Mills to get a sample of heat treated flour and see how you feel about it. Okay. So remember, if you want to learn more about sourdough, click the link below and go download it for free from our website. And if you would like to learn more about other kinds of bread production, like artisan bread using high fiber systems, come to our seminar next week. It is going to be an interesting artisan bread production seminar sponsored by Benexia. And we are going to have our resident baker, Mark Florka, bake some exciting high fiber artisan breads. Okay? And of course, we will share the formulas with you as well. So thank you for joining me today. I really hope your Wednesday is going well. And I will see you back tomorrow on Thursday Thoughts. Bye.